never stop the Simpsons. Have no fears, we've got stories for years, like Marge becomes a robot, maybe Mo gets a cell phone, has Bart ever owned a bear, or how about a crazy wedding where something happens and do-do-do-do-do.
I've wanted to do a video about The Simpsons since I started this channel. I've been watching this show obsessively since I was a baby, and I've featured clips from The Simpsons in just about every video I've ever made. But I couldn't think of the right angle for a Simpsons video essay. Every time I sat down to write about one of my favourite episodes, be it Bart's Comet, or Lisa's Substitute, or Homer Loves Flanders, I couldn't think of anything interesting to say about them besides pointing out all the ways they're brilliant. So instead of talking about one of The Simpsons' high points, I'm going to talk about what I consider to be The Simpsons' first real low point. It's no secret that the golden age of The Simpsons is decades in the rearview mirror, and every year the hollow shell of the show's former glory gets hollower and hollower. There are plenty of moments you can point to that exemplify just how far from grace The Simpsons has fallen since its heyday as a hilarious, heartwarming, universally relatable family romp. Like when Homer got raped by a panda in season 12, or when Homer framed Marge for drunk driving in season 15. But I want to pinpoint the exact episode that ended The Simpsons' reign as the best comedy on TV.
Something touched me deep inside the day The Simpsons died.
There are a lot of terrible episodes to choose from. Season 19, episode 11, That 90s Show, completely rewrites the established history of Homer and Marge's relationship for a way too late parody of the grunge craze. Season 23, episode 12, Mo Goes From Rags to Riches, dedicates a full half-hour episode to the tragic origin story of Mo's bar rag, voiced by Jeremy's Iron. Season 23, episode 22, Lisa Goes Gaga, plays more like a sappy Lady Gaga fanfic than an episode of TV's sharpest satire. This was the first of several arse-kissing celebrity worship episodes. They did an even more egregious one about Elon Musk a few years later.
Dad, no! Elon Musk is possibly the greatest living inventor! Elon Musk is possibly the greatest living inventor!
These episodes are all baffling, interminable, and clear as day signifiers that The Simpsons is well past its prime. But they all arrived long after the end of the golden era, when crappy Simpsons episodes were par for the course. On the blog Dead Homer Society, a user named Charlie Sweatpants posted a 22,000-word essay arguing that Season 7, Episode 11, Marge Be Not Proud is when The Simpsons started to go downhill. But I think The Simpsons was still very much in its golden age in Season 7, and Marge Be Not Proud is one of my favourite episodes. It has The Simpsons' typical razor-sharp joke writing with classic gags like Thrill Ho, Don Brodka's answering machine message, and the fictional video game Lee Carvalho's putting challenge, but it also hits on an emotional level with one of the best Bart and Marge mother-son stories of the entire series. Marge is deeply disappointed in Bart when he's caught shoplifting, and he spends the rest of the episode trying to make it up to her. Marge Be Not Proud has non-stop laughs and an emotionally resonant dramatic storyline. It's not even close to being the episode that killed The Simpsons. The episode that killed The Simpsons, in my humble opinion, and in many people's humble opinion, because this isn't a hot take at all, is Season 9, Episode 2, The Principal and the Pauper. The episode begins with Principal Skinner attending a surprise party at Springfield Elementary, celebrating 20 years as the principal. When the party is interrupted by a stranger claiming to be the real Seymour Skinner, the guest of honor confesses that he's an imposter and his real name is Armin Tamzarian. Armin was a bad boy greaser who joined the army to avoid jail time and served under the real Sergeant Seymour Skinner. When Sergeant Skinner went missing in action and was presumed dead, Armin stole Seymour's identity, moved in with Seymour's mother, and landed Seymour's dream job as principal of an elementary school. The real Skinner has spent 2 decades working in a sweatshop, and now he's finally back to reclaim his life from this nefarious imposter. This wasn't just jumping the shark, this was jumping the shark through a ring of fire and then flying to the moon. Armin is ostracized by the town, and the real Skinner replaces him as the principal of Springfield Elementary, but before long the townspeople realize they prefer Armin to the real Skinner. So the real Skinner is banished from Springfield, Armin is reinstated as the principal, and Mayor Quimby decrees that Armin will legally be known as Seymour Skinner, and anyone who mentions his real name or the fact that he's an imposter will be punishable by torture. The whole thing felt like a big fuck you, and fans were not happy.
Worst episode ever. Rest assured that I was on the internet within minutes, registering my disgust throughout the world.
But The Principal and the Pauper wasn't just controversial among the fan base, it even polarized the staff of the show. In an interview with Rolling Stone, Simpsons creator Matt Groening admitted the episode was a mistake, and on the season 9 DVD box set, he called it one of his least favorite episodes of the entire series. The episode's writer, Ken Keeler, on the other hand, defended it on the DVD commentary and declared it to be the best episode of television he ever wrote. He says it's all about people who like things the way they are and don't want any big changes to the status quo. So the episode is really about the people who hate it. Everyone in Springfield agrees with you that changing Principal Skinner's identity is a bad idea. But that story feels a bit redundant. If it's all about resisting changes to the status quo and it rejects its own changes to the status quo, then what's the point? Where's the commentary? It's like when Family Guy killed off Brian to show viewers that they could lose someone they love in the blink of an eye, only to resurrect him and go on like nothing happened a couple of episodes later. First of all, I'm already painfully aware that the world is a horrible place and I'm going to lose all the people I care about. That's why I seek escapism in a silly sitcom like Family Guy. And second, what's the point of doing something shocking and game-changing if you're not going to stick to it? The Simpsons then showrunners Bill Oakley and Josh Weinstein also defended the episode on the DVD commentary, saying it was just an experiment and shouldn't be considered canon. But there's always a clear distinction in the non-canonical episodes that tells us they're non-canonical, like the meta elements of Behind the Laughter, the fake spin-off pitches of the Simpsons spin-off showcase, and all the surreal, otherworldly ghost stories of Treehouse of Horror. There's nothing in The Principal and the Pauper to differentiate it from the average canonical episode, so it was taken as such. The writers massively underestimated the audience's emotional attachment to their own character. A few weeks ago I did a video about the 2.5 Men finale where the writers did the same thing. They brought fictional character Charlie Harper back from the dead so they could rehash their feud with real-life actor Charlie Sheen, but in doing so they underestimated their audience's emotional attachment to fictional character Charlie Harper. Harry Shearer, the incredibly talented voice actor who plays Principal Skinner and about 50 other major Simpsons characters, hated this episode, and he really hit the nail on the head as to why. After he read the script, he told the writers it was wrong. He said, "You're taking something that an audience has built 8 years or 9 years of investment in and just tossed it in the trash for no good reason, for a story we've done before with other characters. It's so arbitrary and gratuitous, and it's disrespectful to the audience." Shearer begged them not to do the episode, but they ignored him and went ahead with it anyway. And he turned out to be completely right. It was arbitrary and gratuitous, and the audience did feel disrespected. The showrunners didn't think the audience was emotionally invested in Principal Skinner, because it's just a comedy and he's just a satire of stuffed shirt educators. But over the course of 9 seasons, they'd made him so much more than that. He's a Vietnam veteran who applies the ruthless discipline he learned in the military to his new career in education. He's a 44-year-old virgin who shares a very complicated relationship with the mother he still lives with. He's Bart's arch nemesis. Skinner is constantly at odds with the most rebellious kid in his school, but there's also an underlying mutual respect between the two. It sounds silly, but when a character is in your home every week, they eventually feel like a welcome addition to the family. And the Simpsons writers, who have provided countless laughs across the world, underestimated just how endearing laughter can be. After we've seen Skinner serve steamed hams, become the new bus driver in Otto's absence, and chase truant Bart across town like an unstoppable T-1000, we've come to love him because he's made us all laugh so much. And even that's ignoring the fact that by that point in the series, there had been a few really beautiful episodes that had focused squarely on Skinner and made us care for him on a deeper level as a three-dimensional human being. There's the one where he and Edna fall for each other and fight for their forbidden romance, the one where he gets fired and he and Bart become unlikely friends. These episodes showed Skinner to be vulnerable and human, and only made us love him even more. Skinner's relationships with Bart, Edna, Superintendent Chalmers, and his own mother felt real, so he felt like a real person. So to pull the rug out and say he's not really that person at all, he's a fraud and it's all built on lies, felt like a slap in the face. If a beloved TV character feels like a member of the family, then this was like finding out your dad has a secret second family. Taken on its own merits, The Principal and the Pauper isn't the worst Simpsons episode ever made. It's not as mean-spirited as The Boys of Bummer, or as interminably unfunny as the star of The Backstage. Martin Sheen gives one of the funniest guest performances in the show's history as the real Seymour Skinner.
It's kind of a funny story, really. After 5 years in a secret POW camp, I was sold to China for slave labor. And since '77, I've been making sneakers at gunpoint in a sweatshop in Wuhan.
That's not a funny story.
Well, I guess you had to be there.
His deadpan line deliveries are just as pitch perfect as any of the regular cast members, and the episode gets some great gags out of the imposter premise, like Bart using Armin's hypocrisy against him to get out of trouble. But a great guest star and a handful of laughs can't change the fact that this premise is fundamentally flawed. You can't just take 9 years of the audience's emotional investment and reveal that it was all built on bullshit. The Principal and the Pauper didn't mark an overnight transition from great television to terrible television. There were still plenty of classic Simpsons episodes that came after it. Lisa the Skeptic is a really interesting study of knowledge versus faith. The Cartridge Family is a really sharp satire of gun culture. The Joy of Sect is a really accurate depiction of how cults work. But The Principal and the Pauper was the beginning of the end. It allowed the writers to slip into laziness as they stopped bothering to come up with satisfying endings to their stories. It broke the audience's trust in the series and showed that the writers no longer cared about the emotional connection they'd made with that audience, and it was all downhill from there.
You're Snowball 5. But to save money on a new dish, we'll just call you Snowball 2 and pretend this whole thing never happened.
That's really a cheat, isn't it?
I guess you're right, Principal Tamzarian.
Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you liked the video. Remember to like and subscribe and click on the little bell. And also seize the day and call your mom and be kind to yourself.